If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today we're talking a little bit about my university. So, when I first started dealing with programming in my job in public sector government here in California, I first started dealing with like Excel files and using the VBA really ugly programming language to automate Microsoft Office stuff and make applications in Microsoft Office files. But I started to get into R and LaTeX when I started taking my stats class and doing a little bit more like robust data analysis. And that community around those tools, R and LaTeX, is a lot of people in academia, which started to get me really interested in the idea of going back to school and just the idea of contributing to research, performing analysis, doing things with data, and actually contributing to a field. This really interested me. And so I went back to school and I started going this August in the middle of this COVID pandemic. And I went back to school and it's been a blast so far. I started getting really into reading research papers, Zettelkasten, all my Obsidian videos, as you may not be aware of, and I really wanted to like apply these skills to an actual academic setting. So not only did I already have some skills to walk in with from the industry, but also like what I've been teaching myself and learning on the side just out of pure interest also is applicable to academia. And I wanted to really just see what I could do. So I signed up for WGU, Western Governors University, and I started. It took about a year because I think I had some things come up, and it took about a year. But then I finally started and attended my first term starting this August 2020, and my first term will conclude at the end of this January 2021. And we're going to talk about how it went, what I like about WGU, what is WG all about, and what does my workflow look like at this university. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. So what do I like about WGU? And what even is WGU? So WGU, Western Governors University, is a completely remote, online-only, non-profit, accredited university. So this means that the credit you can get from this institution goes towards applicable and transferable degrees that can actually get you jobs. They are accredited, but they're nonprofit, which means the tuition is really inexpensive for what you're getting. And what I'm going to get into about what I like about them, the way you can take and speed through classes means you can get your degrees in record time, depending on how motivated and how hardworking you are for these classes, so that you can actually get your degree in such a small amount of time that, coupled with the low cost, you're paying pennies for your degree compared to traditional brick and mortar universities. This was one of the main draws for me. I wanted to have something that was completely online because that is more flexible for me. I already have a daily commute, well, did before this pandemic, and I have a lot of other projects, businesses, and things going on that I literally didn't want to spend any more physical time having to sit in a classroom for hours and having to commute, gas, and doing all this paperwork and all the stuff I remember from my brick and mortar community college university. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. I wanted something that was completely online, and this was it. But there were also some other selling points that were absolutely incredible for me. So first of all, WGU is completely online, and they not only offer bachelor degree programs, which I'm currently in. I'm in for a bachelor's degree in data analytics and data management, basically the field I already work in the public sector government. But they also offer master's degrees, and this is the first time I've really seen something easily accessible at the master's level to be completely remote and online. And I was sold at that point. Coupled with the low tuition, this was just too good of a thing to pass up. Now, where this really starts to get awesome is that these courses are self-paced and competency-based. So I have, over 5 years of experience working with data analytics, data management, reporting, government, because I've been working in the government for over 5 years, and I had some industry experience. So why am I going to take a class on basics when I already have the literal application of those skills in industry? Well, this is great is that you can just take the tests for those classes, take the exams, do an assessment, your skills. Oh yes, you've been assessed, and it says, oh yeah, you're very competent in this. Take the exam. You pass the exam, you get the credit for that class, and you move on to the next one. Self-paced, competency-based. Competency-based means I can just test it out of that class because I already know the material good enough because I've been doing it. And self-paced because I can take those tests and immediately start the next class. I don't have to wait a couple months for the next term to begin or wait for anything else. It's just, oh, you're done with that one? Here's another class in your degree program. Done. And what really helps in this process is that all of the staff that I've come into contact with have been incredibly helpful. You have a program mentor who's basically like a traditional counselor, where they're helping you figure out all of your stuff, getting you to point A, connecting you to resources, and helping you through everything, getting you what you need to do, and what I really like, especially with like ADHD, is that having somebody who does basically weekly check-in calls. Hey, how's it going? What are you working on? How's it been? Where are you struggling? How are you feeling with your workload? Like, they are incredibly helpful. And with those calls, for me, it really helps keep you accountable with the whole remote environment and doing this like at your house, not a university where you can context switch into the I'm at school mode and do work that way. So I really like how helpful the staff are. And even like when I was just trying to sign up for the university and get started, the contact I had with some of the people on the onboarding process, absolutely amazing customer service, but also really simplified things and made it super easy to sign up. I remember signing up for classes and dealing with the community college enrollment processes several times because I changed community colleges a couple times, and it's a bloody nightmare. You have outdated technology, just really slow, cumbersome processes, and really bad administration sometimes. This place was incredible. Like, everything was streamlined, quick. They knew what they were talking about. They easily got me set up, told me exactly what I needed to do. I got stuck, they had answers, and it was seamless. I've never had such an easy time starting at a new college. And this is just how all my interactions with the staff have been. You start a new class, the program mentors are there, and they are professors and teachers and people who know the material that can connect you with resources. I took an assessment on a class that I didn't pass because I was missing some information, some critical areas. Database management. I literally write SQL queries for my day job, but I did not have a good grasp of entity relationship diagrams, basically the flow charts of which tables connect to which tables on which fields, or all that stuff. But I failed a couple portions of that assessment. The program mentor was like, here's a list of resources on various things that you did not completely pass in competency. I followed up on those resources. I took the test on that class in like a week or two, and I passed with, I think it was a high score, but super easy. And they connect you with exactly what you need. Incredibly helpful people. And one last really awesome thing about WGU, and the fact that it's completely online, is they seem to be much more forward thinking and using a lot more modern technology and tools than some traditional colleges and universities. And one thing I really like is that there is a Discord server for staff and students. So students can just talk to each other, help each other out, and network that way. But also there's just a litany of other things that they invite you to in workshops and classes. And for each course, there's like a little chat room for each course. There's online materials. They'll point you at LinkedIn learning resources, online coursework, supplementary materials, like so many ways of getting a holistic view of a subject versus just sit and listen to a lecture for an hour and now you know things. Oh, you didn't pass the test? Then I guess you don't know things. Like, it's just really, really great how everything's provided, multiple ways, multiple different mediums, and things that also accommodate different learning styles. Like, I can go through LinkedIn learning courses and deal with a lot of video input versus just reading a strict textbook. Sometimes that's a little more helpful, or supplementing that textbook with the videos, absolutely helpful for me grasping new material, especially with ADHD. So what did my first term look like at WGU? Well, admittedly, I was very distracted for a variety of reasons. I was in a very toxic work environment. I was simultaneously job hunting for the entire duration I was in school. I've been working on this YouTube channel. I've been developing my first course, this on Obsidian. I got COVID, just general life and everything gets in the way. So there was a lot going on that really got in the way, but also coupled with ADHD means sometimes I can't get a solid large block of time to just devote to something. And so it's just like that starting energy isn't there. And I'm just like, not today. And not today turns into a couple weeks. So there were definitely was some times where I was not utilizing my time to the best of my abilities. But that said, I still managed to complete 27 academic units in a single 6 month term. And granted, most of that was in the first couple days because I tested out of 4 classes because of just competency. So a lot of the intro classes, I just passed them all within the first 4 days. I already had 16 units completed for this degree program. So at this point, with my transfer credits, I'm already halfway done with this bachelor's degree. That's awesome. And I didn't even fully apply myself for all of what I could do if I was completely focused on this. So there were a lot of beginner classes that I tested out of in the beginning, but there are some also industry renowned certifications that are looped in on some of the degree programs. Not just, hey, go through these digital materials and you're done. It's, hey, we have industry certifications, additional programs like a Udacity nano degree on certain things. In my certain degree program, I'll graduate with 3 CompTIA certifications, I believe, and a Udacity nano degree in data analytics or something or other. And that's really, really good looking stuff. So the CompTIA A plus Part 1 exam, that one was pretty hard. Like it actually took me a couple months to get through that one. Still less time than in a traditional class, but that one really like sucked up my confidence and it took a lot of time to get through. And then after that, I did C++ and database management. Those ones went pretty fast in comparison, but CompTIA kind of really threw a wrench in my momentum there. But overall, I enjoyed all of these classes, learning everything, and the entire process is so nice for just learning the material, get out of your way, yes, I'm competent enough in this material to pass a class. Basically you learn everything you really need to know on the job, but getting those foundational skills and just having that extrinsic motivation of somebody else saying you need to do this to learn subjects you might not look at unless you were held to that standard. It is really useful for getting those new skills and new knowledge. So I really like how all of this stuff works at WGU. And finally, I've been asked several times, like, what is my workflow for actually working on classwork and material in class? And to that, I have several different approaches and tools that I use, and it takes advantage of several different ways of learning. So we'll take a look at some of those things now. So I have a couple notes in my Obsidian vault about like how to actually learn different types of things, and one of them is like how to actually learn by reading a textbook, how to effectively read a textbook, and like I take notes on like we need to flip through the pages, skimming, glancing, go to the end of the chapters. There are quiz. Look what you need to do to pass the quiz. Those are probably the core points. Go to the beginning, read all the items in bold print, read the first and last paragraph, like as a textbook. There's also how to read scientific papers. There's how to read a scientific research paper. There's so many different ways to like actually effectively approach large blocks of text. So I do take these in mind, but also something that I do is I speed read. So if it's like a block of text that's not super technical to where like I really need to actually pay attention to a lot of granular detail, or if it's something I'm already familiar with, then this is totally okay. I can just select this and I can do Option V on Mac, and this will actually let me speed read. And this goes at a rate, I think I have it set to 600 or 700 words per minute. 600 at this point. So 600 words per minute. And you can change the settings like words at a time, font size, and a couple other things. But that is a Chrome extension I have called, what is it called? Swift Read. So I just use this and it's incredible. It's free. You just install it and you can select text or you can copy and paste text if it, for whatever reason that doesn't work. And I just select text and I speed read all the time. And this actually helps me with reading a lot too, because with ADHD, I need like faster input. So that's why I watch videos on 2 to 2.5x speed. I speed read when I can. And if it's more dense material, sometimes I will slow it down and actually just go through it sometimes. But then I might actually apply this approach for like reading a textbook if it's really dense material. But speed reading and just going through the different sections and speeding up that input, especially with the video material, that's really how I can get through a lot of material quickly, is that I need material and input to be faster. So having speed reading and then speeding up videos with the video speed controller extension I have in here. Where is it? Video speed controller. This one will actually let me speed up videos on a variety of different sites. So pretty much whatever video players. If I'm on LinkedIn Learning, if I'm on YouTube, I basically watch everything at a minimum of 2x speed and sometimes 2.5 to 3x, depending on how slow the person talks. But I use that to really get through material. And of course, learning by itself is also not enough. You also hopefully want to retain what you're learning so you can actually make use of it. And so that's when, yeah, I speed read. Yeah, I increase the speed of the content I'm consuming for my classes. But I also make sure the things that I don't know at a level where I know it's stuck in my head, I'm not going to easily forget that. Things that I want to remember and core pieces of the material, I will actually use Anki and spaced repetition. I will either, write and make the cards themselves straight into Anki as like this. Go to like school. I have different courses. So like if you go to browse, I have my different courses here. Like this one was C++. Or no, this one was my database management. I have C++ and then my A plus class. And I could just separate them by tag based on which class I'm in so that I can retain and learn that material using spaced repetition. And that's really effective, especially when you start off, as soon as you start the material, making these cards and getting on that spaced repetition cycle for those cards really helps you when you get to the exams, because then you already have, some of that stuff is already really cemented in there. And when it isn't, you know, keep reviewing for a little bit. You fail your first exam, that's fine. Take it again later, and by then you'll have even more spaced repetition done. Review other material from different angles, and you're good. So besides actually making the cards in Anki, whatever you want to say it as, itself, is I also use the Obsidian to Anki plugin. So I actually will make my flashcards in Obsidian as well. And doing stuff like this, I can actually have these flashcards sent to Anki. And of course, I also take notes in Obsidian for these classes. So like if I was going to have, let's see here. So like here's like all of my notes and my note cards. This was actually the class that I went through. So I actually did complete my database management class. And so like I have like a pacing guide outline saying that I need to have these classes done by these specific dates. I already sped through this class, but I went through every chapter of the textbook that suggested speed reading. I went through the use certify sections, speed reading, making Anki cards as I went, grabbing pictures of pertinent information that I need to know, such as normalization and first, second, and third normal forms for database structures, for relational databases, and then yeah, LinkedIn Learning courses too, all this different type of stuff. And then I would also make these pages where I would do like notes also, but like flashcards on the material provided. And this combination really just made it a breeze to pass these classes, because now like I have these spaced repetition cards I'm constantly going through, but I also reviewed the material, wrote notes, sped read, reviewed different types of material from different angles, LinkedIn Learning, use certify, the actual supplementary textbook, getting point-in advice from the program mentor on the areas that I needed to improve in directly, and just attacking it head on like that really made it just a breeze to just focus on the core areas I need to fix them, and pass the class. And so by making all of these notes in Obsidian, when I actually make those notes, they do connect to each other and sometimes to other notes. Now, this isn't directly Zettelkasten material. Like, it's not my own unique ideas. It's factual, real-world technical material. So it's not like it's an opinion piece. And sometimes I'll connect these different notes together with other factual material. Like, I have a whole section of my vault that is just devoted to like academic studies and things, statistics, programming languages, technical material, application, information, and that's stuff I will link together. For instance, I have C++ notes from my class on C++, things on like C++ classes, linked to classes in Python, linked to classes in JavaScript, linked to basically how are classes implemented in a variety of similar or other languages, and linking those relevant notes together. So using that type of system, I can create some sort of networked knowledge between technical material. So doing that is how I'm actually using this Vault, Zettelkasten, and just networked information with my more academic material. And it's less of my idea pieces. Sometimes I might actually have some, evergreen note idea of my own that actually references some technical material, um, just based on some sort of like technical abstraction in programming that actually does sort of have some sort of relevance to an idea or a topic I'm talking about. So it's not an island in of itself, but it is fairly isolated from a lot of my other core Vault material. But at the same time, it's a second brain. I don't just have just ideas in my second brain. I also have knowledge, memory, other things, images. Like there are a lot of other things that can go into your second brain than just idea notes and evergreen notes. So I make a comprehensive vault for everything: my journal, my stats notes, my school notes, my actual evergreen notes, and a variety of other things. So I'm not limited in that respect. So this video is kind of just like a, hey, WGU is an awesome place to go to school. I'm rather enjoying it, and this is how I kind of do school, especially with ADHD. I use a variety of tools, speed up the input, record things for better long-term memory, since my working memory is poor because of ADHD. So Anki speed reading, video speed controller to speed up the video input speed, and taking notes and working that into my existing Zettelkasten vault. This is a great university, and I think if you're going to think about going back to school, it's a great place to, give a chance, look at it, see if it might work for you. Now, if you want to, chat a little bit more about anything, Obsidian, ADHD, school, academics, programming, all that type of stuff, I do have a Discord server. Link to that is in the description below. It is a fun place. There's hundreds of people in there now, which is just mind-blowing to me. It's a fun place. We talk about a lot of variety of different things, and yeah, I aim to make it a fun place to be. And a quick note before we go, thank you to the sponsors who support this channel. Supporting the channel is not required at all by any means, but I appreciate everyone who does it. The best ways of supporting the channel is GitHub sponsors that does not take any fees, or Patreon, and these are the Patreon supporters: Rito, Leonardo, Justin, Brandon, Klaus, Pippa, Alberto, Clark, Joel, John, and Paul. And we also have Ed and I think Klaus, no, it's Klaus, on GitHub sponsors. And thank you also for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, those are the best ways to do it. For one-time things, buy me a coffee, PayPal is just fine. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel. Not required. Appreciate it that you do. And I'll catch you in the next one.